My name is Izacc Francis, and this is my story. Anyone with autism, or really any disability, I wanted to push out that whole stereotype of like us having a disability is more like an ability for us. I love basketball already. It was like a year, and I was saying to Mum, I'm going pro. My mum was like, you're being ridiculous. She's like, you're being ridiculous. And I'm like, Mum, I'm going pro.
All right. Hello. I feel like I haven't seen you in ages. How are you?
Yeah. Haven't seen you in like a couple of hours. But
I know. What's been going on?
Oh, had to sleep.
Yeah, sleep. Good on you.
Yeah, had to sleep, a bit to eat, you know.
Good shoot this morning?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to look real good.
Yeah. It was fun. It was like getting up early in the morning. I love getting up early in the morning. So
yeah, like we were done by
6:30 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the sun just come up and then we're like, cool, wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was mean.
I like being in the dark in the morning anyway.
Yeah, you feel like you've had a productive day once you've gotten up early.
Yeah,
ticked
being
a few
up
boxes.
earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, and then you get some work done and you're kind of like, oh, maybe I can chill a little bit in the arvo or do whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, mad. Well, thanks for inviting me to your house. Big thanks to Kerri for letting us take over your house. If you saw the amount of gear that's here,
She probably
we've totally rearranged this whole place. We should take some setup photos for her. She'd freak out.
Yeah.
There was dust on that shelf, by the way, Kerri.
No, don't mention that. Don't mention that. She'll come for you. She'll come for you.
Cut that out. That's
Yeah.
Touching Riley's soccer game and it went over time.
Oh yeah, blame the OT. Blame the OT.
It was always meant to end at 7:40, bro.
So towards the end of the end of the term.
Yeah.
So like, we want to be like third or fourth by the end of the term to try and make a good spot for playoffs.
Stop it.
Take too long.
I'm sorry, our legs are short.
Kamikaze, blinded by the show lights, paparazzi, they know I'm a gold mine. Everybody know me where I go, why suicidal, hanging with the low. I'm a legend, I'm a fixer, painting portraits, get the picture, like the paper, not the swisher. I'm your elder, call me mister. Y'all should probably do the math. I done been to hell and back. Primo had me in the ass. White boys hitting dabs. Went from bummy to your girl probably bumped me. Thoughts of things, turn a 5 to dime. Nothing to something. It's a classic tale like The Alchemist. Mama would be proud of this. Wonder where I'd be without this shit. Probably dining out and shit. Be easy just like the alphabet. Might wanna reroute your shit. You ain't about this shit, no. You don't want these problems like calculus.
Oh no, we're gonna have to amputate. That looks really bad.
Hey, give us that work. Give us that work. All right, Zach, what are we doing today?
We are on the way to my first practice session of this morning. On the way to my private coach, his name's Joe, and go get a session in, about an hour and a half session in, so I'm keen to get there. I got hit up by a coach who's a private coach, and he said to me...
Is that Joe?
Yep. He said, hey dude, I love your work. Do you have a private coach? I said, yeah, I do, but I don't work with him as often anymore. This is Steve.
Yep.
Because we don't really live in the Picton area
Yes.
anymore. I didn't see a lot of Steve.
Yep.
And he goes, I'd love to work with you. Like, what would you be interested? And this was straight off Instagram, and I'm like, this dude looks good, because I was looking at.
Were you aware of him off Insta? Have you been following him? Or
I was following him on Insta because a few of my old teammates that I used to trained with him, and I'd go onto his Instagram, look at the guys that he's training, and then look at them, and then be like, there was some good guys he was training.
Zach, why do we get to training early?
So we can warm up. Like, I've got to have a training session before a training session, you know what I mean?
How early do you get here?
Normally like an hour.
Yeah.
I had you today, so I didn't want to be an hour early, so I was like, half an hour should be fine.
And we did stop for breakfast, didn't we?
Yeah, all right. Well, that's kind of valid, but normally I'm just here an hour early to get an hour session before my hour session, you know?
Yeah, that's it. Dedication.
Yeah, more is more, you know?
How has training with Joe like affected your game? Because you're in between teams essentially at this point, right?
Yeah,
So you're just essentially developing yourself.
Yeah.
What was it like to have a private coach like Joe?
Oh, it was the first couple of weeks. I thought I was dying because my body was just not ready for that sort of training. Because
So it was high level stuff.
High level concentration, footwork. Like you're really trying to get to a high level with Joe, and then it prepared me for what I'm going to now. But it still is, like, I love Joe, and Joe puts so much effort into my craft and my game. And I always say to Joe, I will always be your hardest worker. Like, if you give me any challenge, that I will work harder than anyone else.
I had some hoop dreams, but no jumper like I'm Adam. My pen is too clean, so I had to stick with rapping. My life is hella deep, dog, you couldn't even fathom. My goals are like Twitter, you can see I'm staying at them. I'm trying to be the GOAT. Every day I'm chasing ghosts like I'm Danny Phantom. And I can sell a nigga, but I'd rather sell a hit. It's my niche, and business at the beat, so I had to hit the switch. And now I'm all in, I ain't on the fence. All these rappers peep my game, I ain't talking Twitch. Man, I'm trying to get rich. I'm trying to make my wrist match the plaques. I started from the bottom, I ain't going back. Told all the dogs, we gon' make it out. I would never fall, you can't take me out.
Zach, how was that session?
Yeah, it was good to get a little bit of a long session in. So got our session before our session, and then got our session done. So I'm happy.
And there'll be another couple of sessions today, probably.
Yeah, probably 1 or 2 today. So
nice.
Yeah, we're good.
Good man.
There's so much more that goes into it than what people think. Like, it's it's quite crazy. Like, I watch so many films, like film sessions, which are just like where I just sit down for 2-3 hours and just watch basketball. Watch how this guy scored the ball, how this guy defended the ball, how this guy rebounded it.
Seeing it through your eyes, you can pick up all the nuances about what makes them so good.
Yeah. What makes them great makes me a little bit better by watching them. So
yeah.
Unseen hours of like by yourself, then one-on-one, then like 1-on-2, and then just like there's like 5 of us mates that'll just go to the park and then just one-on-one each other for hours and just try and get better. And
have you got some like mates that are like as hungry as you are?
I've got a few, like some of them are as hungry as I am, but some of them are just like they play for fun rather than anything. They've been playing their whole lives and they're at a point now where they're like, we don't really think we could make it. And they're like, we'll just go into the workforce, which I'm not that person. I'm like, once I'm set on something, I'm so hungry to try and succeed.
So you said you got a business. What's the business?
So I have my own clothing business. So I sell like t-shirts, shorts, pants, jumpers of my own. Pretty much putting out there that I'm an autistic basketballer, and it's called Izacc Clothing, and it has a big Z, and actually I am wearing it now.
Nice. Good to represent.
I have to. It's cool. I love having it, and I love being able to share what I stand for. My mum goes by Mummager, so because she's my mum manager. So my Mummager, and then my dad just helps me out with computer work, because anyone who knows me, I'm horrible with technology.
It just was like a little outlet for him. So he came to me one day and he was like, Mum, do you reckon I could put like my artwork on clothes and sell it? And I was like, what? What do you mean? And he goes, I think I want a brand. I'm going to call it Izacc Merch. And I was like, what? Okay, buddy. All right. Izacc Merch. All right, bud. And we knew a friend that...
And he was like 10 at the time, right?
Yeah,
10 or 11?
10. Yeah, actually, I think he was even younger. He was 9 when he was doing all this. And it took us a good 6 to 8 months to work out how the heck are we going to make that happen? And he was turning 10. So it was his 10th birthday that we launched it, because we had a really good friend who, shout out to Ash, who was our graphic designer. And I sent her Zach's little drawing of his name. He wanted it to be called Izacc Merch, and it was ZACC back then. And I sent it to her and I'm like, what can you do with this? He wants a logo. It's not going anywhere. We're going to whack it on a couple of shirts for his birthday. and, you know, it's going to be cool. It'll be a thing, and he'll, you know, tell everyone he's got a brand. It's just, you know, a little hobby for him. She was like, oh, okay, cool. I can do that for you, no problem. We had another friend that was I don't even know what you call her. Anyway, she was a graphic designer too, but she made the clothing. So she did the transfer vinyl and all that kind of stuff. And I said to her, she also did embroidery. And I'm like, listen, can you embroider him like a Izacc hat? And I've got this logo, and get a couple of shirts and whatever. And I went to Kmart and got these cheap shirts, and she just printed them for us, kept it really simple. Anyway.
And this is all a surprise?
All for his birthday, yeah. Stickers to go on the car or your laptop or your scooter, like across your scooter bars. Anyhow, he opens it and he was stoked, and he's like, oh, I got my own business for my birthday. And I'm like, oh, pump the brakes, bro. It's not a business. It's just it's Izacc merch. You've got your own Izacc merch. Well, then he went Facebook Live, decided to tell the world he'd started his own business. Before you know it, we are inundated with orders. And I'm like, what do you mean you've sold 25 hats?
Today I'm going to be talking about my new brand. It's called Izacc, and I like this brand a lot. I've only just started, but I've liked it lots. So, and the reason I started this brand, my mum was like, you want to just start a brand? You want to start your own brand? And I was like, okay. And I feel like that starting this brand is going to build up my confidence a lot more, even though that my confidence is already good for like my standards. And this has changed a lot of things, and I feel like I'm proud of myself of how far I've come. Because I reckon these couple of years I've gotten building up a lot more confidence each year, and next year I'm gonna pump this business out and make sure I'm on top of things and do a lot of things, and I want to make sure I can make other people, like my family, proud of what I've done. And I'm proud of myself at the moment, actually, because a couple of years ago I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do this at all. I would run away from things. Like I'd be shy, and I would hide behind mum, and I'd be shy to meet new people. And I'd be shy to go get napkins from the counter at a coffee shop. So now that I can talk to new people and meet new people, it's life-changing.
For me, I had the motivation of pushing out that I wanted to say, hey, look, I'm autistic and I can do this sort of thing. And anyone with autism, or really any disability, because you see how many Olympians have disabilities now.
What? I got your stuff from Kmart. What the hell? And I was like, uh-oh, damage control, because I never like to squash him. If he's got a big, giant idea, I'm already saying shoot for the stars. All right, bro, let's go. We'll see what happens. It'll probably be like a one order thing. We'll be done with it. Anyway, it went stupid. We were sending stuff to America, to New Zealand. Something went to like Papua New Guinea or something like that. It cost me a fortune in delivery. He made $0. And it became like my burden financially, but he was stoked, absolutely stoked. So we continued it, and then eventually it started to, make a couple of dollars here and there, and he just thought that was the best. So before we had our official diagnosis, we knew there was something going on. I mean, I had never had children. I was still a child, basically. I'm freshly 22. Like, I'm struggling to navigate the world myself. Brand new relationship. Isaac's dad and I had met, obviously fallen in love. I had been pregnant, bought a house, everything within 12 months of being together. So it was absolutely epic. Then he comes along, and my mum and my sister are preschool teachers. So my mum had been director of services and, you know, the highest preschool teacher there is, educator that they're called now, and had been that my whole life. And then my sister had followed in mum's footsteps. So I had a lot of good help there when I started to say, hey, he's hitting certain milestones well before he should have. But then other things like his speech, he could barely speak a word until he was 2 years old. But he knew what he wanted. He just couldn't get it out. And man, he had a fire in him as well. He was a feisty little guy. We did 2.5 years of therapy before a diagnosis. He wasn't diagnosed till he was 7. But we knew we had to go to therapy to work out how to best give him the best life, the best experience when we're out and about.
For someone like you, just having a goal,
Yeah.
even if it's a massive goal of becoming a professional athlete, but you constantly have something to focus on, is that, whether that be sport or something else, but how did you find, like, was that really helpful for you?
I think it was putting my mum and dad put me in a situation that I was uncomfortable in, but had all the skills to be able to develop me as a human being. So, like, they put me in Auskicks, and I didn't like kids. When I was younger, I didn't really I wasn't social. I didn't really have any friends. I was, 5 at the time. I didn't interact with anyone. But putting you in Auskick in a game where you have to talk to your teammates, you have to kick it to your teammates, you have to pass it to your teammates, that's where I think sport is such a big utility and such a big tool that we should be using more for kids. Like, obviously, millions of kids play sport, but kids with disabilities that should be used more as well. And it's a big avenue, and it's big now, but I want it to be bigger because for me it changed my life.
Sport was a way of channeling that because he loved sport. Like, right from when he was really little, he was this tiny little thing with golf clubs, and he was a really great golfer. We saw from a young age he had a natural ability to pick stuff up real quickly. Once he did, his hyperfixation was being the best at that.
Yep, that's where you go, this is an ability, not a disability.
That's right.
That's right, yes.
And then his dad would also get extremely locked in, and all of a sudden Isaac's going to be a pro golfer, and he's got these cut down clubs that are worth $1 million, and, you know, they're at the golf course every 5 seconds. And I'm like, oh my God, let the kid be. And then he's like, you know, with his little, Izacc you can see in his podcast and stuff that he has a deep voice. That was right from the beginning. He had this big mom deep voice. So he's got this kid that's like, can we play golf? And his dad was just so chuffed and was like, yeah, we can. So he was decked out always, and he was golf. But again, that is an isolated sport. It was just him and his dad on the weekends and wherever they could, and he was great. But his dad and I both loved AFL, and I said, listen, down at the local footy field, there's Auskick. I really think it's a great way to get him in there, to learn how to interact with people. You know, it's open air. It's not going to be overly loud like a shopping centre or a basketball court or, you know, something like that with too much overstimulating. So I said, let's get him into Auskick and let's see if we can manage to get him to interact with people or, you know, follow directions without taking his clothes off. You know, just little things. So we chucked him in, and I'm always like sink or swim. Get him in there and see what happens. If it's a success, that's awesome. If it's not, we pivot, we change, we do something else. So we got him into Auskick, and he was loving life. Obviously, out and about, running wild. It's a ball sport. He used to love any ball sports. And it was something that we could do and we could stay as well. So we could be right there. And it's just a couple of ball skills. It's not straight into a team environment. They're slowly going to work him into it. And it was phenomenal. I am just so thankful for Auskick, and their program was so inclusive. We let them know that Isaac's hard work and he's probably going to get rough with other kids when he's had enough, but we're just going to have to communicate together and get him through. By the second year of Auskick, they were like, listen, he's a beast, he's massive, and we probably could have him for another year, but we think he's ready for a team. Let's chuck him up into an actual team. And even that...
Is this still Auskick or is this AFL now?
So this is going into AFL.
Yeah, well, I think at 11 years old, like I was playing AFL at the time for about 5 years at that point, 6 years at that point, because I started sport when I was really young. And I was heading to junior giants, and I was having a lot of coaches kind of prep me for that sort of like coming of age sort of, because you get to an age where you're like, hey, am I going to go pro or am I not? Like they talk about that stuff even when you're like you're 14, 13, maybe as low as what I was. But they say, well, where do you want to play? What do you want to do? Do you want to do AFL for forever, or do you want to do something else? Because that's the sort of thing that they prepare you for. They're like, okay, well, the kids that say, no, I'm thinking about another job, or we love AFL and we want to play, or are we playing for fun, or are we playing to that point where we want to take it serious at that point now? So my whole thing with AFL was not to toot my own horn or put tickets on myself, but I was really good at AFL, like really good. I was a forward. I used to just kick a bunch of goals, and when I stopped playing AFL, I was about 13, 14, but I was playing, I think I was playing under 14s, under 16s and 18s on a weekend. So that was fun for my parents. I was playing Division 1 for all the teams, and where, I remember the day I got injured, because I did get injured in this process. So I'm playing, and I think it was a 16s and 18s game this day, and we were in Camden at I think it's Fairfax, if I remember properly, but we're at Fairfax Oval, and we're playing like 8:30 in the morning in the middle of winter, and like, yeah, it's bad. But we played this game, had a great game, scored quite a few goals, did a little bit of this. We won the game, and we're on our way to Ingleburn for our nighttime game. We tip off, and obviously at that point I was playing up, so I wasn't in the starting lineup. And the first quarter went around, and coach put me in the second quarter, and I'm playing in the forwards. I've kicked a goal already, and anyone that knows me, I like to talk a lot of smack, and I'm talking smack to all these kids that are way older than me.
So you're 16, so you're 14?
Yeah, I'm
playing
like 14.
16-year-olds?
Yeah, pretty much. And them Mack trucks.
And these are Division 1, so these are the best. Yeah.
So they're like Mack trucks, and I'm like this little scrawny little apple stick kid, and I'm running around, and I remember it vividly actually, like going up for a mark, and I've missed the ball through my hand, and it's gone behind me, and I've turned to go get the ball, and I've dived on the ball, and a kid's in front of me, and he's dived this way, and a kid has dived from behind me and has dived on the top of me as I landed on the ground, and he landed on top of me, and because they're Mack trucks, I hyperextended my spine. Yeah, ouch. But being a 14-year-old kid, hyperextending your spine was not fun at all.
So when he got injured, it was... That was actually quite scary, seeing him injured. He's a bit like his mum. He got injured and continued to play. And I knew, I was sitting up with family, and I'm like, he's hurt.
You saw it straight away, like in the moment?
Without doubt. When he stood up and the way he was standing, I'm like, oh, he's hurt bad. And I'm saying to my husband, get down there. Mika, get down there and go and rip him off the field. And he's going, no, like, he's a bit like you. If he wants to stay on, he's not going to come off. So if I go down there and cause a commotion, it's going to throw him off his game. I think we just let him go, see how he goes. If he's bad, he'll come off, because he is a little bit of a sookie lala too sometimes. You know, he is tough like me, but occasionally he's like, oh, my leg's broken. It's a tiny scratch. He was like that from when he was little. So I'm like, but I can see he's really uncomfortable, which means he's really hurt. It's not something that he's putting on. And he was dead right in when he said he went to kick a goal and he knew he couldn't kick it, and he passed it off to someone else, and the coach ripped him off and was like, oh, mate, they used to call him Izzy. Izzy, are you hurt, mate? And he was like, I'm hurt.
We get out of the game, and then I'm on my way home and I'm in so much pain in this car. And my mum takes me to, I believe it was Camden or Barrel, one of the two hospitals. I can't really remember. And I'm laying in the bed, like fully laid back. And I'm like, this is so painful.
What was going through your head at that point, like about sport and your future and everything?
As soon as we got to the hospital, I was like, this might be over for me, because this is excruciating and footy might be over for me. And I'm like laying in the bed and I'm getting teary because I'm 14. Like, I want to go pro so bad, but I'm like, my back's hurting. I'm like, Mom, am I going to play football again? Am I going to play football again? Doctors coming in and out and stuff like that. They told my mum I hyperextend my spine. I got to go rest, and I'm not to play footy for ages. So I didn't play footy for ages. And then I'm laying in my bed and I'm like, Mum, what am I going to do? She's like, yeah, well, we don't know. And then we go back a couple of weeks later to the doctors, and they're like, hey, we suggest you probably don't play contact sport anymore. It's okay, like, after a while to play sport again, but not a contact one. And I remember being in there crying because I'm like, mate, I wanted to go pro so bad.
Was the like stubborn rebel in you just like,
yeah,
I'm going to do it anyway? Or were you actually like, nah, I better listen because I might have gotten away with it easy this time?
I was listening and I was nodding my head, and my mum, being my mum's, giving me the look that I'm giving her, like, there's no way I'm quitting sport. And so I'm like, yeah, sorry, yeah. Like, I'm crying because I'm like, I know I'm not going to go pro at this point. I'm like in the office and gives me tissues and I'm drying it. And we get out, we walk out, and Mum's like, so, like, what are you feeling? And I'm like, I'm all right. And she's like, what do you mean you're all right? You just cried. And I'm like, I'm not giving up sport. My mum was like, didn't you just hear that guy? And I'm like, I'm not giving up sport. There's no way. So then she was like, well, you can try. You can go back and try. But if anything gets injured again... then
at this point, was she thinking back to AFL?
Yeah. So we're thinking back to AFL because there was no way I'm giving up AFL that easily.
They had said no sport for 12 months. So no contact sport. He can play sport, but he can't be physical for 12 months. I think that lasted maybe 10 or 11 weeks. We weren't even at the 3-month mark. And he was like, Mum, I've got to play sport. Like, I've got to do something. And at this stage, he had been, playing basketball at school and whatever. And then COVID came along and ruined everything.
I had a couple of mates at that time that were like, man, you're 6 foot and you're playing AFL. Like, come try basketball. It's contact, obviously. It's pretty heavy contact, but it's not nearly as much as AFL. Like, come play with us at lunchtime. And I'm like, cool, something to scratch my itch that I need to do something. So then I'm playing a basketball and they're like, hey, you're all right. And I'm like, I've never touched a basketball. What do you mean I'm all right? Like, that first 6 months was deciding what to do. And then, like, the slowing down a bit, like, coming towards the end of 2020 was when I was like, okay, well, I'm just playing basketball now for fun. So then I'm playing at school, and it's starting to come back where we're allowed to play outdoors now and play with, go into leisure settings now.
Yeah, because up until then it was still very restricted.
It was
right?
very restricted within that, like, that middle couple of months of deciding not to play football. It was like really like no mask, no leave your house sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then it started to ease off towards like that Christmas time. And then my friend, we were going back to school and we were playing at lunchtime. My mate was like, oh, Friday night's open back up. I'm like, Friday night? What do you mean Friday night? Well, are we going out somewhere or what are you doing? And he's like, no, Friday night's social comp at basketball at the leisure centre in Picton. And I was still living at Picton at the time. And I'm like, really? It's a social comp. And he's like, yeah, you got to come down and play. I'm like, all right, cool.
He came to me one day and he said, Mum, the boys have asked me to play basketball down at the leisure centre. I laughed so hard. I was like, basketball? You?
Not in this house.
I have seen you play basketball. Bro, no way. Like, we would muck around because I used to play when I was younger. So I was a state player and I loved basketball and I followed it my whole life. Isaac's actually got one of my Shaq posters in his bedroom that's, you know, so thin and old, but we've framed it. I'm a massive basketball fan. So he said that and I kind of got a bit of a, whoo, basketball, okay. The very first day I dropped him off was the trial for reps. So he was playing with his mates and the trial process was happening on the other court. They invited him over after watching him play and obviously seeing his height. You know, he's a big monster. Let's get that guy because he can be our centre. 100%. Yeah. I mean, if I was a basketball scout, I'd be like, let's try and make that giraffe work because we need that.
So then the next one, it was like, the next one was to make the final cut of the team. And we go there and I'm playing this scrimmage and doing these drills. And the basketball coach says to me on the way out of the centre, you'll be on the final cut. Cool. That's so sick. Right? So then the news come out a couple of days later on socials that I made the final cut.
He sort of had that sort of natural talent, but he didn't really know it. He had the court awareness and I could see his mates were trying to help him out a bit. Yeah, I just went over to the sideline and started chatting to him one day and saying that I'd like to get Izacc into like competition sort of basketball. So I had a team over, we played over at Oran Park just Sunday afternoons. I wanted to get into that team and he came over and joined that team for a season and got his skill level up and just helped him out. And
shout out to them, the Wollongong Razorbacks, where I first started playing, like immediately was in the starting lineup. And, and my dad was like, came down to a training session because normally my dad would drop me off, but my mum would watch because my mum was always interested in basketball.
Yeah.
My dad came to a training session and he's like, mate, you're actually pretty good. And like, then they both were like, because my mum and dad support me throughout anything. And like, obviously my dad laughed at me, but he was he was on my back 100%. Like, and that's what I forever be grateful for, that like they're not like, okay, this is your sport, you stick to that. They'll be like, whatever your niche is.
Good morning, world. I'm blessed to wake up today. Been getting dings since 4 a.m. That's extra bread I'm finna bake. Not to mention all the blue faces that's sitting in my safe. Finna hop inside this Challenger and take it to the bank. If you speaking money ventures, man, say less, I'm on the way. I'm just living how I wanna do. Plus the family straight. Everybody got a stake. Ain't no crumbs upon the plate. Love and loyalty is everything. Ain't much else to say.
It was off season again. Okay, I want to start training for this. So then I'm going on YouTube and I'm finding someone that's really good and I'm just going to do that. So then at the time I came across a player. His name was Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I watch endless highlight reels of him. I'd be on the big iPad or the laptop and I'd be watching 3 screens of that guy and I'm like, what does that guy do? I'm pretty sure that year that I started watching him, he won the MVP of the whole league in the NBA. And that was like, I was like, okay, well, what he did best was a Euro step. It was like a step this way to step this way and lay the ball up. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm in the backyard on my plastic hoop that my mum bought me that previous Christmas. And I'm like, getting all like hundreds of them. I'm in the backyard from as soon as I get home from school. I'm in the backyard from school till it was dinner time, and then even after dinner time I'd go out there until it was dark and being like this way and then this way, and I'm like, okay, well, he does this dribble move, so I'm going to do that.
That ability to kind of just look at things in sort of simple terms. I want to be a professional basketball player. I'm going to Google the best basketball player in the world. I'm going to look at him on YouTube. I'm going to look at all his moves and I'm going to do each of those moves separately 1,000 times in the backyard until I can do it. And then he'll do it.
Repetition, repetition, repetition until he perfects it, which is amazing. My name's Kye and Kye Simpson. I'm the owner and head physio, head coach at Streamline Physiotherapy and Performance Coaching here in Bulli. One thing specifically for his basketball was he wanted to build, upper body presence and I suppose confidence and strength on the court. I brought him back in the next week. I said, mate, let's go week 1 testing. We need baseline. And I've still got that list, and it's quite funny. We often go back and reflect. He's made huge progress in 12 months, but we just did the fundamentals, 1RM, back squat, deadlift, bench press, and then a heap of body weight measures. And that's my biggest thing is just show up. Just show up and get it done. Even if you feel very average, right? It's the linking together of week after week, day after day, making good choices with that big goal in mind. I said, we'll get there. And I believed in him. I believe in him now.
I had the pleasure to meet Izacc and his beautiful family in 2019. So he would have been 12 years old. So the basketball specifically, I'm like, yeah, physically you can see they're structurally quite big, tall athletes, strong athletes. But when it comes to specificity of adjustments specifically, you really do need to make sure their alignment is right, especially because, majority of the time we see they are taller statures. So we need to make sure that they have that nice postural alignment. And in that position of dribbling and doing those sort of skills, they are slightly crouched over to the ball. Yep. So we want to make sure that structurally they're in the right alignment as well. So I often think when I see Zach specifically, whether we talk about it or not in that session, when I adjust him and I do the muscle work and he tells me where he's physically sore, I'll also just ask certain questions. How's your head feeling? And then once I actually palpate or have a feel of his neck and head, I can sort of hone into, okay, perhaps what do we need to do today? My biggest thing when I see him specifically when he comes to clinic is to not only help him feel better physically, structurally, but also, okay, well, how are we going to either help you recover and regulate after what you've had through the week? And then how do we prepare you for what's going to happen going forward?
So then the next season came along and I was playing, and I was playing at that point, I was playing at a pretty high level from all that I was doing. And I was trialing, I shot for the Stars at a trial in the just before the season ended actually. I went to a New South Wales state trial, and I was definitely not ready for a state trial, but I went because I was like, I want to see where I'm at.
Yeah. Because
a lot of people don't go because they're like, all right, well, I'm not good enough. And I'm like, no, I don't care how good I am or how bad I am. I'm going to see where I'm at. And it was not nearly the level that I was at, but I was still pretty good. And I went to trials, and obviously I didn't get humiliated, but I was in that average where they shouldn't be on the team, but they're almost there sort of thing.
Yeah, they've got some talent.
Yeah.
And maybe just need a bit more time.
Yeah, and just a bit more time, a bit more development sort of thing. And so that happened, and then trials came around later that year for rep teams again. And I was like, beginner level league, I don't want to do that again. I'm going for the Stars. I'm going Division 2, Division 1, and I'm trying out for good teams. So I went to the Hawks, the Illawarra Hawks. They're pretty well, they're really well known in the area for being good. And still at Picton at this point, and then we're transitioning to moving to Wollongong at this point. In that stage where I'm moving from year 9 to year 10, I moved from Picton to Wollongong. So we're it's right at that December time that they start trials too. So I'm trialing for Illawarra Hawks, and I've made the first cut because they have 3 cuts and then they have the final team. So I've made the first cut, made the second cut, and I was like, I'm close. Hey, I'm like, I might be playing Division 1 or 2 basketball after this. And then I made the third cut, and it was the top 40 kids or something in the whole area, and there was 180 kids that were there. And I was like,
Wow.
okay, I'm good. Like,
Is that where you thought you were at, or did you
I
surprise
thought
yourself?
I was in the 170. Like when I got there, I thought I was 170 worthy, but clearly I had more. With trialing, I made top 40, and then unfortunately I got cut after that. But then I had
That's a massive win in itself, though.
Yeah,
like,
so
you
then
have to walk away from that feeling pretty good.
Yeah, so I didn't plan to go any other trials, and I was like, that's sick for me. I felt good in myself that I knew that I made top 40 at that point. And I get a call from my really good coach, Steve Barciki, and he had my back throughout the whole Barangary season. And he was telling me, like, if you keep working, you've got the work ethic and the natural talent and build for basketball. If you keep working, you'll be really good. I get a call from him, and I believe it's his uncle owns a different rep team, or is a part of the organization. And they're called the Moss Vale Magic. And he gives me a call, and he's like, hey, I know you're really disappointed about Illawarra, and I know that you missed out on multiple other teams for trials because they have a certain cut. So like if you don't go to the first trial, you can't go to the rest of them. And he's like, yeah, I know you've missed out a lot of them, but Division 2 are looking for a player or two to come and trial with them. So they've already made the team, but they're wanting another one or two guys. Like, can you make this trial? And this was like 2 days later. And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at my mum because we're in the car, and I'm like, please, like, mum, let me go. And my mum's like, yeah, okay, we'll see what we can do. We go to this training session because it's a training session for the team because the team's already been made. But we go to this Division 2 training session.
Well, they're essentially looking for like a bench player.
They're obviously like a development player.
Yeah.
Someone who rides the bench and develops at practice and eventually will get onto the bench and then eventually will become a starter.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, D2 spot, and I'm a development player. I'm stoked that I could even have an opportunity at that. So then we're driving to this stadium in Moss Vale, and we're sort of in Wollongong at that point. We were currently living in Thirroul, like moving into a house at Thirroul. So then I'm like, we drove to Moss Vale, and I'm like, these kids look good. And I sit down and I'm putting on my shoes and all that sort of thing. I meet the coach, meet a couple of the team, and I start playing, and I looked really good. And I felt really good playing there. And I scoring a bit here and playing really good defense here, and I'm getting coaches' claps, and I'm feeling excited that I've made this spot because there was the two other kids that came with me to train and possibly have that spot too. I'm like, I've got a good feeling that I've made this. And so my good feeling turned into I was packing up from the session, and my mum's sitting next to me, and I'm packing up, like I'm taking my shoes off, I'm getting changed. The coach comes over to me and he goes, so I've made a call. In next week, you won't be training with us, you'll be training with Division 1. And I'm like, I'm what? And he's like, you'll be training with Division 1 to see if you can trial for a Division 1 spot. I'm like, holy Moses. Like, that's insane. I'm like, thank you. I'd love to have you, but I can see you playing in Division 1, so I'd like to take you there. Sick. Right, thanks. And then my mum, we're walking out, and mum's in awe, like, Division 1? So that's almost a year ago that I started playing basketball now. Almost a year. So it's probably only like 11 months now. 10 or 11 months that I've been playing. So then the next week we go to the Division 1 trials, and then again, I'm like, these dudes are massive. These dudes look good. There's a couple of guys in state gear, and I'm like, I got crushed at state league, so I don't know what to expect. I go in and I trial with them. I have a really good training session. I felt good as well, but I didn't feel as good as I felt in Division 2. And the coach of Division 1 comes up to me and he goes, I can see that you work really hard, and I like your talk, I like your speech, and you're a good player. So we've got a spot for you on our bench. And I went for a development spot, and I was like, a bench, okay, that's amazing.
It was a great experience for us because it was the first time we had to travel and stay in unfamiliar places for sport. And if you wanted to play on the team and you wanted the outcome, you had to get uncomfortable and be comfortable being uncomfortable traveling. So we were like, in Wagga, and we were on the Central Coast, and I think we went to 7 different locations that season, and it was rough. Oh my God, and the crap we had to pack, his own toiletries and pillows and cutlery, and because he's a germaphobe, and spray because the room smelt funny, and oh my Lord, was it a massive adventure. But it was also capacity building. We just had to be comfortable getting uncomfortable and making it all happen for him. And it's just that's shaped him into the kid that he is right now, and gotten him to a point where he can do that now. He is still super uncomfortable. We still pack all those things, but he's totally okay with doing that. And for some unbeknown reason, he's actually pretty damn good at basketball, which I never thought would happen. But again, that's his personality. When he wants to do something, and I guess that does come from me, when he wants to achieve something and he thinks he can, he stops at nothing to make that happen, and he just goes hungry and hard after it. Taught himself most of the skills via YouTube and watching Giannis, and he's just phenomenal. That's one of his abilities, that he can teach himself by emulating and watching other people, and I think that's an absolutely phenomenal skill that I wish I had. You know, when I find things are super tough, not unless it's really meaningful to me, I don't often push through. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm crap at that, move on to the next thing. Where Zach's like, I'm crap, but I could be good. And he just, if he really wants to do it, he'll lock in no matter who tells him he's crap, who tells him he can't. He's just like, nah, I can't, watch me.
I won't say it was a great experience being at that organisation, but it wasn't awful, but I wasn't treated very nicely because of, I don't think it was purely because of my autism, but I felt like it was. And my mum had a hard time with coaches and managers too because I had autism. And I was fine. I was quick to adapt, but slow to adapt with some things that kids that would be quick to adapt, I was quite slow. We finished, and I'm like, this off season, I got to lock in. I got to lock in on training. Mind you, while I'm training with Mossvale, I'm doing all my own stuff. Like my private coach Steve, at that point, I had him like 3 times a week, and I'm like at home and I'm drilling myself in the backyard, and I'm like, I got to get good. Like it was all or nothing at that point because I was very locked in at the fact that, and it was right about that time that, like I said earlier, that I was like, hey, Mum, I'm going pro. And Mum was like, you're being ridiculous. And I'm like, she's like, but whatever you think you can do, I'm going to back you in it. We're back to trialing process. And I'm no longer a junior anymore. I'm in the seniors. And my coach is like, hey, like, you got to start preparing to be a senior because now it's under 23s.
Wow.
So now I'm 17, playing from anywhere from 17 to 23.
So that's a big jump, isn't it?
It's massive, especially when you play youth league is like, if you're playing Division 2 youth league, it's a lot of guys that come up from 18s. But if you're playing Division 1 youth league, it's a lot of guys that come down that are used to be pros that come down and play. So they're like 21, 22-year-old pros that are playing in Division 1. So I'm like, great. This is fun. I don't really want to be in like a youth where I'm like going up against 23-year-olds. Like I'm 17, I'm 6'4", and I'm like I was heaps skinnier than what I am now at this point. I'm still quite skinny, but I was really skinny, and but I know I'm good. So I'm training really hard to get to the trials. I go to these trials, and this was for Keenan Valley Wildfire, and like I went there and I had a pretty good trial. I was a bit in between really good and pretty good. Like it was just a pretty good trial process, and unfortunately I didn't make the team. And then I was pretty bummed because I thought I would have, and I thought I was good enough to. And then what happened there was it was a bit of a coaching change, a bit of coaching within the organisation. Someone changed coaches. This happened, the manager changed. And then I got a call from Keenan Valley Wildfire from the owner, like of the whole thing. And he's like, hey, I'm coaching youth men's too. and I want you on my team. He's like, I want you to play youth league with us and like Division 2 youth league with us. And I want you in our local comp as well. And like, I want you to play with us. And I'm like, okay. At that point, I know I'm good. So then I turned it down. I said, no, I'm not going to be a second option. I'm not going to be hey, you're cut now, but then you can be picked later, because they're the guys that are like, they're second options. I'm not going to be a second option. I'm going to be who you pick first. I'm going to be who's in the starlight. And my mum's like, don't be stupid, take the offer. And I'm like, because I'm sitting with my mum and dad while taking this call, and I'm like, no, sorry, I'm not taking it.
Izacc put a certain coach through the ringer. He was not picked in the selection, and then he got a call up to sit on the bench and take a development spot. He blatantly said no. I was like, so when his name didn't come out, he was actually really crushed, because he had spent the 12 months before with people nasty to him, putting up with people on the team that absolutely treated him like garbage, and his own teammates roasting him on the court, and he really dug deep to stay there, develop himself, and just lock in on his own game and shut out the noise. And to then be cut from the team, it really took its toll on him. So it, like, from the next trials, like, no name on that team. And, you know, he was hurt, and he was like, we're going to have to just, you know, keep trying and go again next year. And I could see the deflation. So then being called as the second option, he was like, no, not for me, not happening. This is not going to happen.
Playing a game once a week and training by myself every other day, or do I train with them and develop? And because at that point I was told I was a development player. And then, so I took the spot. Different coaches from other clubs, like, hey, why didn't you play in today's game? And I'm like, I'm a development player. And they're like, really? I'm like, that felt like the biggest compliment to me, was going to those games and not playing. And then coaches that I've met before have been like, those sort of comments motivated me more to be like, well, I'm going to work harder than anyone else on the team to get a spot, you know? So then I'm working, and that's about 2 months into the season, about 3 months. And again, it wasn't the greatest experience with that club or with that organization. Really wasn't. I was treated really nice, but at the same time, I was treated really, really nicely off the court. On the court, it was a different issue. I was treated pretty hefty, like pretty bad, and I was put down a lot, and I feel like I was undervalued, and then I was just a development player.
Oh, they undervalued him, and they underused him, and they underdeveloped him. He didn't get development, and I know coaches and people...
It's literally the point of that position.
And I said, just stick it out. We got to a point where he couldn't stick it out anymore, and he was like, nah, as a whole, this environment is not good for me. It's not good for my mindset, because I'm starting to believe what they're telling me. I'm starting to believe that I'm no good, but deep down I know I am, so I'm going to get out of here.
We had 3 people out injured, and I finally got a shot, and I think it was like within 6 minutes, I think I had 6 points, and he pulled me off straight away after I had 6 points, and I was like, what did I do wrong? And he's like, nothing. And I was like, so why did I get pulled off? And he's like, oh, you're a development player. You don't need that many minutes. It got worse, less minutes, less time on the court, less, like, there was even a game where we were playing and I'm warming up and I got a tap on my shoulder from my coach and the manager. And he said, keep your gear on, but you can't sit on the bench today. What? Why? And he's like, well, the refs have said it that we've got too many people on the bench, blah, blah, blah. I reckon that was donkey too. But he said, you have to sit in the stands. So I was taken out of warm-ups and I couldn't even warm up with my team anymore. So I had to get all my stuff off the bench, and I couldn't sit on the bench either. So I had to go and sit in the stands with my family. You can imagine how mad my mum got, knowing that I'm good and knowing that I deserve a spot, and I've been kicked to the stands. And my dad, who just drove from Thirroul to Hornsby, that was the game.
Oh, wow.
Is also fuming.
Yeah, yes.
So then had a couple of words with Coach. Coach didn't change his mind.
This obviously basically led to
Yeah, and then that led to me about maybe 3 weeks later leaving the team.
And I'm just
It's a
going
very
to
mature way to look at the situation.
Yeah. And he did that while I was sitting on the bench having snacks with my favourite bunch of ladies. The ladies, the mums from that team, on point. They're like family now. Still, they're like my family. And we're sitting there, I'm having snacks and my kid loses it, picks up his bag and he's out. He's like, oh, I quit. And I'm like, oh, I think we've quit basketball. Oh, get my bag. And I took off too. And I was like, what? Bud? And he's like, nah, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around. And if they're my 10, I'm in massive trouble. And I was like, oh. And he was not, by the time we got to the car, he wasn't angry. It was like this big weight had lifted off and he was like at peace.
To wrap that up, I ended up leaving the team. And then, now I remember, as I was saying before, I was posting TikToks and just loving playing basketball. I got hit up by a coach who's a private coach.
My name's Josel. I am a coach or a basketball trainer, but before that I was actually working a lot in sports medicine, and my pathway to that point was actually a little bit different. So I started doing the rehab stuff, had a lot of basketball players that came to me for ankle issues and things like that, just because they knew that I played as well. And then I sort of transitioned that from the rehab side to then strengthening side, and then now to the skills and the training, and just sort of accumulated pretty much everything together and just made it all one. And I think that's probably how I met Zach, was that he probably I think maybe saw an Instagram reel or a video, and we started training together probably about 1.5 years ago now. And pretty much I know him mainly on the court, but definitely also off the court as well. As a basketball player, what I can tell you about him is he's got a great mentality. I think obviously I coach a lot of different kids and different players, and Zach's got a really great mentality, a really great drive. There's not much that can actually get him down, whether if he's missing shots or he's not doing the right thing. He's got that mindset of just keep pushing through. And that just shows a little bit of resilience, which is something that I don't see as often these days. I think, to be honest, in this day and age with whether it's social media or the internet, just either being on the phones or tablets or whatever, I don't know what it is. It just seems that the resilience or the mentality, the mindset is different. Kids these days are a lot more skilled. 100%, the amount of training that they have access to these days is very different to what it was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. But I think the one thing I see is the mentality and the resilience, which probably lacks a little bit.
Zach obviously has disabilities sort of specific to him. As a coach, how do you see that? Does it affect him positively or negatively, on the court? Yeah,
well, funnily enough, when Zach told me about the disability, I don't know if he realized this or not, but when I was working in rehab medicine, I used to treat a lot of participants, clients under the NDIS. And my job back then was whether they had cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, motor neuron disease, whatever it was all about teaching them how to move and walk and their gait patterns. So I sort of understood from a movement pattern. When he said that to me, okay, I can understand the physical capabilities of how some of these conditions can affect someone's movement, but then also mentally. So one thing I found with Zach is I find that it works well when I give him really great cues. So whether it's 1, 2, or 3 things that he's got to focus on, he responds super well to that. Because I know sometimes if I say 10 or 15 different 20 things, like anyone, you'll get sort of overloaded, a little bit overwhelmed, and then you spend less time focusing on one thing and you spend more time trying to focus on 10, 15 different things. So I think the main thing with Zach is that giving him the proper cues helps him a lot.
To your knowledge, what's Zach's goals in basketball?
I think he wants to make it quite far. Whether his pathway or his journey is to play pro here or overseas or wherever it may be. I know that's definitely high on the cards. And obviously I know that pathway in terms of how far someone can go. So it's one thing to remind a lot of these guys, especially Zach, is that sometimes your journey or your pathway, it's never just straight. I think with him, with his goals, he loves to take all opportunities. And I think that's a really great characteristic about him. He's with anyone, right, with disability or not, the fact that he will take on any single opportunity just shows like how much drive and how much passion he's got for it. So I think that's so important. I always say to all the guys that the most important thing, whether you want to go pro or not, is that you love the game. If you love basketball and you love the game, everything else is going to fall into place. But if you don't have that love, or you start to find that it's a chore, what starts to happen is you start to resent the game, you start to resent the training, and then you start asking yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? But if you keep that at the center of it all, like the love for the game, I think that's just going to go far beyond any type of training, skills, strength and conditioning, whatever it is, because that's at your center.
And does Zach love basketball?
100%. Like, I honestly, like the amount of like just messages about like this or that on the court, like feedback, and like not even him as like me coaching him, but I've seen him with some of our younger kids, and like I haven't even said to him like, oh, coach this, but he'll just do it instinctively, just, hey, like, try this or try that. And I think that's like something that's really great of him, is like it shows that leadership as well. And that really only comes from understanding and loving the game, and, knowing, like watching film here, watching this, that. Yeah, there's not many people I could say that would love the game as much as him. Yeah. We had a trip to Melbourne last year at this like interstate tournament, the Salvation Army. And they were playing against open men. So a lot of the boys were like 18 and under. And Zach was great that tournament, because like there was a lot of games that they lost. So things weren't really going their way, but he was always very encouraging. Even when they were down by 30 or 40, he was just like, we don't give up, just keep going, just play it to the end, and then we just reconvene and figure it out the next time. So yeah, I think that just shows character, where if you don't love the game, you don't do that type of stuff. Like if you're just there for yourself, or you don't really know what you're there for, like a lot of those little things that he does like won't come out with a lot of other people. So super important. Like he loves the game, and it just flows into pretty much everything else. Not just his game, like everyone else's as well.
I looked at semi-pro spots this year, trialed, and obviously I made the top 20 out of 190 or something like that. I made the top 20 for the team, and they were only taking 6. So then it got cut from 20 to 8, or I think it was 8 or 12, and I got cut then. But top 20 for me from last year where I was to this year in those trials was enormous. Like it was a really big achievement. So I'm thankful for Joe. I'm thankful for Steve, my family, like my physio Kye, shout out to him too. I started working with Kye around the same time as Joe, trying to get bigger, trying to get stronger, and both of them have helped me out so much.
As you'll probably see through his story and other people's stories, like he's been knocked back so many times.
Yep.
So many times, which I look at and I'm like, that is resilience right there. And I respect that, because it's so hard to get knocked back and be told you're not good enough. But it's not always easy. He's faced some challenges. He'll face many more, I'm sure. But again, coming back to that resilience, it's pretty inspirational to see an 18-year-old do his thing and believe in himself. And that's why I look at him and I'll say to you now, like he will make it. I know he will make it.
We locked in again and went for the highest of the highs, and sure enough, he got the call back for Sutherland Sharks for the NBL1, and him and I were in the car at the time at Starbucks, and I absolutely lost it. I was screaming, I was crying, I was so freaking happy. Like, this kid just locks in and tells me what he's gonna do, and he just does it. We saw from a young age he had a natural ability to pick stuff up real quickly. Once he did, his hyperfixation was being the best at that.
Yep, that's
So
where
again-
you go, this is an ability, not a disability.
That's right.
He thrives on his, it's not a disability to him. It's like something that feeds him, and he wants to get better and better and better and better until he gets to where he wants to go.
But yeah, it's kind of weird to say disability because it doesn't seem like when I see him dribble or I see him jump, I'm like, dude, like you're dunking, you're like getting that high into dunking the ball. Like, not once in my head have I thought, this disability is actually causing a disability. Like, yeah, you're right. If anything, it's like changing, like I guess the way he would process or look at the game, which is great, which is really, really good.
The more I learn about Izacc, the more I talk to people, the way that's something that's so impressive to me about Izacc is the way that he views it as his ability, because he faced a lot of adversity and a lot of challenges that most people wouldn't have, the vast majority of people were not exposed to from a young age. And I think he knows how far he's come, everyone else knows how far he's come, but no one more than him.
No,
when he would be riddled with anxiety in social situations and probably couldn't control his emotions and didn't really have any intention or desire to communicate with people that weren't his family. It's like the perfect concoction of he's been allowed to fail with support, and then, you know, and the right upbringing. Kerri and Mick have obviously raised him very well with good old school values of like the value of hard work. You know, you can be anything that you want to be, and I've talked to Izacc about this, and Kerri has always said you can do anything.
Yeah.
You know, you put all that together and you've got a pretty powerful combination.
He's been taught that, you know what, your disability doesn't define you. If anything, I think it's more of a gift because you have the ability to focus so much more. And he's also been taught that no one starts at the top. You know, you don't get to the top without setbacks and without failures. That's what makes you be so grateful for where you get to at that, you know, after all of the hard work and all of the setbacks, when you finally achieve your goals, you know, it makes it all worthwhile. He's definitely been taught that, you know, you don't start at the top.
Tell me about your mum.
Oh, my mum's like my shadow. My mum's like my shadow. She goes everywhere with me. She supports me through everything. She's been there. Like, I know that a lot of parents have been there through lows and highs, but like the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. And yeah, my mum's my everything. And yeah, like everything that I do, I give credit to her. And sometimes she may not feel it, and sometimes it may not feel like it's been shown, but I give credit to her in everything. So a lot of people will ask me, how do I do what I do, or why do I do what I do? It's for her. Obviously, it's for my family too, but a lot of it's for her because it's her who's brought me up. Obviously, my dad has too, but a lot of it's been my mum. My mum's been there every single time that I've done something wrong or I've done something right, like, or I'm doing something or I'm about to do something. Yeah, my mum, she knows everything, and she's in on everything, and she has an opinion on everything, and I'll forever be right next to her because I know that like she'll be there whether it's bad or good. So yeah, I give credit to my mum, like I said before, for the human being I am, and for the athlete I am too, because the amount of opportunities that I couldn't have taken if she wasn't there, then, or if she didn't support me in that, then yeah, I would not be the athlete or the human being I am today without her.
I can see that just from the sort of short while that I've known you. Spent a fair bit of time around you and your family. Obviously, we've done a fair bit of filming over the last few weeks or so.
Yeah.
It's very clear the impact that your mum's had on you as a person.
Yeah.
Again, all really great things. It speaks to your maturity, but the most, and I was thinking about this earlier today when I was driving, I think the thing where it's most obvious is your relentless self-belief.
Oh, yeah.
And that comes from a parent that said, you can do it. She said, you can do whatever you want, whatever you put your mind to. It's not like, no, you can't, you will fail. It's like, you can do it.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh.
Right? That's very evident.
That's it, to be honest. Like, my whole life, it was doctors, it was people, it was community that we were around that were like, he might not do that. He won't do that. He can't do that. And my mum was like, no way. Don't put a limit on him.
Sports, you mean? And like just
everything.
Things that normal, quote unquote, normal kids would be doing?
You know what? They told me I'd never be able to go into a mall. And I go into a mall now and I still can't do it great. Like I can't go into a mall by myself.
Who does like malls? I can't stand them. I'm like, same as you, headphones on.
Or anything like that. I'm like, anything that's really big and social, I'm not really great at it, or I can't really do it. And I'm like, I really go autism mode there, but everything else, like, yeah, she definitely has helped so much in the person that I am and the confidence that I have in myself. Like, obviously there's times that, like, for me, I've always had an attitude that, like, if I'm not great, then I need to do more. But that's just me. Like, my mum's always been like, you're great whether you believe it or not. You're always going to be great. She will support me throughout anything and be like, that's a great job. Or she'll be like, that was useless. She's like, you got to work better on that. Or she's like, I'm taking you right now and we're going to work better at that. Like, we went to trials and I messed a couple of rebounds up, and she's like, we're going to good hoops right now and I'm teaching you how to rebound. And I'm like, Mum, I know how to rebound. And she goes, so why didn't you do it? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And she's like, you overthinked it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. And then she's like, no, don't be sorry. We're going to go work on it. Yeah. So she's really supportive, but she's hard on me in the fact that if I believe in myself and I want to be like where I want to be a pro. She's like, if you want to be a pro, you got to think that you're already a pro.
He's grown so much in the last 12 months and matured so well to be able to, and I feel like that's what sport has done for him. All these knocks, like you were saying, he gets knocked down, he gets back up, he gets knocked down, he gets back up. And even though he's wavered in his belief in himself, deep down he's still never changed his dream board. If anything, he puts extra stuff on his dream board, and he's going to this. His favourite thing at the moment is, Mum, we made top 20. And I'm like, we did, buddy. And this was before he got his recent call to go to Manila. He said, we made top 20. We're just going to go hard. I'm going to work with Joe, because in the process he'd gotten a new coach. I'm going to work really hard with Joe. I'm going to stay locked in with Steve, because Steve also works on his mindset as well. Steve has never wavered. He's put his own family aside to support Zach.
He's a great mentor.
Oh, he's come to so many different things and calls him for a pep talk before everything we've been involved in. So Coach P, same thing, calling him before trials saying, lock in, buddy, we've got you, no matter what happens. So all this, like, you know, mental support as well in these coaches that are so influential in his life have gotten him to the stage where when we made top 20 but didn't make the final cut, he was like, let's lock in. Let's go. We're going to make the team next year.
So I know he's preparing to go overseas very shortly. And I've just seen him this week, for example. So I knew that, okay, well, if we're going to be going into a new country, new environment, on the plane, huge schedules, all of the things, I just knew I needed to work on that upper neck, head, do a little bit of breathing work in relation to what we're doing with him, with the rest of the body. I'm also consciously aware that he's got an amazing team of other therapists around him. So, you know, there's also this misconception that chiropractors and physios, you know, don't work together specifically, or, you know, exercise physiologists or, you know, PTs. I'm super consciously aware that in order for someone to be at that elite level, well, there's going to be an awesome team behind him. And if I know, okay, I'm working on this and I know his physio is going to do this, and whoever else that he's got working around him is going to do that, well, he's got the best support to be able to progress him forward as well.
So I've noticed that finding the right direction and the right people around him, the right team, has been a hugely positive impact on him.
Who do you think those key players are?
Look, the right coaches, obviously his parents again, they fight for him a lot in terms of the team that he's put in, and the coaches and the players and how he's viewed. They really are great at guiding him to find, you know, align him with the right people. Stepping
up and making an adult's decision of, I'm leaving this team because I'm worth more and I'm going to go and develop myself, essentially.
That was a defining moment.
It's a beautiful word, such a defining moment for so many reasons. But I want you to tell me what you think about like that period.
No, it definitely was. To have a voice for himself and to be able to put what he knew was best for him emotionally and mentally out there was massive. It was a really defining moment for him. He had never really spoken up as much as what he did then, and he made the right decision for himself. It was fantastic. It was very mature, And it showed the progress that he was making, not only physically with his sport, but mentally and emotionally. The changes in him are drastic. When I first met him, he was so socially, not withdrawn, but he wasn't as outgoing as what he is now. He wasn't as confident in himself. He'd be able to sit there and have a conversation with you one-on-one, but in a group setting it was very different. You know, going out to the shops and asking for food and things like that was not something that he had confidence in doing, you know. And so to see him making decisions for himself now, and even socially, he's a lot more outgoing, he's a lot more confident in himself as a whole, is amazing to see.
From the very start, he always had his heart set on the one goal. And I said, mate, as I said previously, there's many paths to getting to where you want to get to. But then now there's so many other options and so many different countries you can play in. So many different, even Australia is a great country to play basketball in. And there's so much opportunity to make money playing basketball anywhere in the world.
He was not expecting the phone call from Manila at all. That came completely out of the blue.
And this is very recently, so just like context for time, this is how long ago?
I believe it was 4 weeks ago.
Right,
Four?
so like
4
early,
or 5 weeks ago.
You know, late 2024.
No, so it was January.
Oh, in January.
We were actually celebrating not New Year itself, but the New Year with family and friends of ours. And we were in the pool when he got the phone call, and the look on his face was, I thought someone had actually died. He was on the other side of the screen, like the glass, and we couldn't hear what he was saying, but he was holding the phone and like his face had gone white and he was just like going like that. And I thought, oh shit, who called him? Someone's like, something bad's happened, someone's died. Oh my God, what the hell? I thought we were going to start this year on a high. Oh no, what's next? Because in our family, it's kind of like that. We get so many, you know, hits and punches from all angles. You're just like, what now? Mm-hmm. What do we have to deal with now?
Yep.
So that was happening, and I'm like, uh-oh. And he comes out and he goes, Mum, and we're all in a pool, and everyone looks at him because of his voice, and he goes, Mum, I really don't know how to tell you this, but I was like, what, buddy, what? Because he's such a tease. And he goes, we're going overseas for basketball. I just got asked to play in the Philippines. And I was like, you're an idiot. Because I always do that. He jokes a lot. So I'm like, you're an idiot. Don't be stupid. And he goes, Mum, I'm dead set. And I could see on his face, I'm like, oh, he's not playing. He's in shock. And I'm like, what? And then he goes, next Sunday, we have to be in the city for this team. We have to go there. And like, we could be going at the end of March. And I'm like, oh, dear Lord. If it's not a hard hit, it's something incredible coming in. I've still got to be like damage control. How the heck are we going to make this happen? But mind-blowing at the same time that he could have the resilience to just lock in and sit himself in such a great mindset. And because of how we share that as well, that someone can see that and then make that call and say, hey, you're not a second option this time, buddy. We've picked you for this team. Let's go.
Let's go back to your career.
Yeah.
We've talked about kind of where you're at in the present.
Yeah.
Pick us up from there and talk about the future. Maybe tell us about what your goals are for 2025. Do you have a 3-year goal?
Yeah.
Give us a bit of an insight there into what we can expect from you this year.
Expecting from me from this year is a lot of scrimmaging and going here, there, and everywhere to play. Playing a lot of AAU tournaments, which are like tournaments where you go away to certain states and countries and you go and play an exhibition. So you go and play in front of coaches. But yeah, I have a very big one coming up. I've just joined as an import Filipino/Australian representative team. And we will be going over to the Philippines in Manila, and we'll be going to play in the Mall of Asia. And we'll be playing in front of pro-level coaches and all that sort of thing.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was super stoked to get that news and be invited to that and get that opportunity. But, yeah, that's soon. That's like late March, early April. So that's my like closest tournament. And then I'm going...
what is that going to mean for you? Like, this seems like a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big step up from what you've been doing in the past? Like, what is this going to actually mean? Like, who are you going to be rubbing shoulders with? Like,
I'll be rubbing shoulders with professional players and professional coaches, like just meeting them, greeting them. Sorry, my teammate that he's been there before, he was like, yeah, it's going to be real big. Like, you're going to be playing kids that have been playing for forever. They're Division 1 players, so they play like semi-professional in the Philippines. So they're really, really good. And we're playing in front of professional coaches ready to offer contracts. So
wow,
that's something that, like, it's very big for me, like, to go over to the Philippines and in Manila and just be, like, know that there could be a contract waiting for me or an offer for a college or a school or whatever waiting for me is something that's in the back of my mind at the moment, like, leading towards that. Like, I really just want to be able to showcase who I am and how I play.
Seems like 2025 is going to be a big year for you.
Oh, yeah. It's still January and it already has been.
Wow,
so
yeah. It's amazing how you look at the trajectory of your journey, and this could have gone so many different ways.
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking to Joe about this morning, actually, just about how it's good to not be too rigid about, like, you know what the goal is, but it's good to not be too rigid about the path or the journey to get there.
Oh, yeah.
Because it can take many forms, and you need to be open to opportunities that come your way and enjoying the journey as well, not just being hyper fixated on the goal, which you love basketball. It's very clear.
Yeah, for sure.
You can tell you just absolutely love it.
I think that's what sets me apart from different players, is my open and willingness to do anything. Like, I'm willing to do the small things to get the bigger outcome, and I'm willing to make the outcome hella different. Like, if we were going this way and then we need to turn left and go back towards that way, and then we need to turn right and go to the right again, then I'm happy to do that, because I know what my end goal is. But my journey along there is the fun part. The journey is not the end of it. The journey is while you get to it. So I'm loving my journey at the moment, and I'm forever grateful that my journey is on this path, but I don't know what the future holds. I know what my goals are, and I know what I'm doing right now and for the next couple of months. But yeah, my future could change pretty much at any minute at the moment. And so I'm grateful for where I'm at and where I sit, and that's pretty much what I feel as if my willingness to do that is setting me apart at the moment, because a lot of people are very rigid and, like, they want to go to the NBA, where I'm like, NBA, EuroLeague, Asian League, anywhere in the world. My big goal is I want to be a professional by 22 years old.
Yeah,
like, that's my biggest goal. So
and you want to do it for sort of probably more humble reasons, probably than a lot of people too. Like, it seems like you'd be perfectly happy to be playing professional basketball and supporting your family.
Oh, yeah. So
and that doesn't necessarily mean, I have to be in the NBA.
Or I have to make millions of dollars and millions of dollars. I think as long as I could sit comfortably with my family and I can support them while playing the sport that I love, that's what I want to do. Because for me, it's going to be like one of those things that's going to be challenging throughout my whole career with autism, and it's going to be challenging with sometimes without my family, sometimes with, like, my whole life's going to be that little bit more challenging. But I'm ready for the journey, and I'm ready to say, hey, well, as long as I could sit comfortably with my family, support my family and myself and my own family one day, then I'm happy to do whatever it takes.
Some of the challenging aspects are going to be, obviously going overseas, and, that's challenging in itself. To step out of his comfort zone and have to, again, have a little bit more confidence, make some more decisions for himself, be a little bit more independent than he's used to being, will be challenging, but I do think they're going to be added assets to his whole skill set. It's only going to push him further, give him that little bit more confidence that he needs, and he'll just keep progressing.
What I see as a young man who is ready for a challenge like this, especially given where he's at from a maturity perspective, like having made some decisions, and he's taking ownership of his own existence.
Yeah.
I see him as a young man it's the perfect timing. He's going to go and he's going to be tested in a bunch of different ways. He's going to be surrounded by some, you know, professional athletes, some high-level people. The networking is going to be fantastic. He's going to develop his game, and he's going to build his capacity to, like, I guess, like socially and being outside his comfort zone a lot. And then who knows where he goes from there. But I just see nothing but opportunity. Like, how do you see it for him?
Everything that he is going to experience, he'll take on the good and the bad, and he'll create positives out of it. You know, it's all going to be a learning curve. Some things might be difficult for him, but he will take what he needs to from that to turn it into a positive experience. It's only going to help push him forward.
So, like, putting it all sort of together and tying it up to sort of what is the potential future, you know, do you reckon he's got what it takes?
Oh, yeah, he does.
He's got the, I mean, tell me, like, what are the aspects of Izacc that you think are going to help get him across the line in 3 years, 5 years, whatever the potential timeline is to achieving his goal?
It's just from a coach's point of view, as I'm sure the head, like coaches of high-level teams would see it, love it as well. It's the players that are actually generally interested in learning and understanding the game more, understanding the rules, and a hunger to become better and better every day and every season. And then that's what a lot of elite teams look for, because you want that player in your team that wants to go after that championship. He's that type of player that he'll do everything in his power to, like, learn all the information off everyone, absorb information off everyone to do that and to get to that goal. His skill level, he's very adaptable, so he could play most positions on the court, which is a great ability to have these days.
If Zach was pro in 3 years' time, would you be surprised?
Probably not. I'd probably understand, you know, if he keeps working where he is now and consistently just pushing. I wouldn't be surprised where his game, his mentality, his drive will take him. Hopefully,
you know, we would look back on this documentary in 10 years' time and he's in America and he's playing high-level basketball, and you look at him there and you go, that makes sense.
Yeah.
His story makes sense, you know.
Yes.
And thankfully he's got a great team and an amazing family. It's so important.
Clearly your family has been so supportive. Yeah. Your dad, obviously, he spent a lot of time at work, you know, paying the bills, and your mum's been sort of doing the footwork on the ground. So obviously between the both of them, none of this could have happened.
Oh yeah, for sure. My dad, I'll never say he wasn't there a lot of the time, wasn't there as in present, but he was there in the fact that he was helping all the time. My dad worked 3 or 4 jobs at one point, and he'd be gone for 6 weeks at a time and come home when I was a kid.
Yeah. Which allowed you guys to
do what we had to do.
Because all these sports, it's expensive. Coaches and all the sports
for sure.
Cost a lot of money.
And
right?
Then when we got older, he worked 1 or 2 jobs, and then it was 1 job, and now he bounces around. Does everything. My dad can do everything, and he'll always be a role model of mine. But obviously, as a kid growing up, I wish I could have seen him more. That's just something I always feel deep down, that I wish I could see him more. And even now, I wish I could see my dad more. But you know what? I will be the guy that once I do go that professional route, I'll retire my mum and dad as early as I can. I'll retire them, and then they can do whatever they want and spend however many days they want. They could live with me if all I care.
We're locked in, we're ready to go. It's going to be for his career. This is the biggest opportunity he's ever had. This is what he's always wanted. He'll lock in. He will, 100%. I know he will. And I feel like that will be so powerful and impactful of a story to tell kids just like him and families just like him that are like, oh, my child will never experience an overseas holiday without me. They will. You just got to work hard at it. The thing is, you guys as a whole have to work hard at it. It's not one person's job or one person's capacity. It's the team. The team 100%. Will make it happen. And I love that he has the ability to, amongst all of it, make us laugh so hard all the time, because this life we live is extremely difficult. I'm a nutcase from sun up till sundown, and he just has this amazing ability to come in right when it's needed and just make you belly laugh for the stupidest reasons about the dumbest things. It's the best. It's one of his best qualities, is his humour.
What's something he's done recently that's made you proud?
Every day he achieves something, he makes me proud. Obviously, the biggest one is Manila and those types of things. But for the most part, if we're going to play it down, actually, I'll give you two. The biggest one recently is how well he spoke on the podcast. I was blown away because he communicates well here at home, but out and about, he's just, yeah, no. And I thought, I don't know how Kirk's he's gonna have to be a master to pull this out of him, and for a lengthy podcast, I don't know how he's gonna go, wow, just wow. And what's in that big, beautiful brain of his, and his maturity, how he sees himself as an inspiration, wow. So proud. I was a sobbing mess when I watched it. And Izacc being Izacc looks at me and he's like, no one died. Why are you crying like that? But I was so just taken back, in awe of, I can't believe I birthed that human, mate. So proud of him. If your child's been told they can't participate in a group activity because of their limitations, I believe every kid can. And I believe sport is a massive avenue for that. I believe try sport, even if they're not a sporty kid, give it a go, because I've spoken a lot, I've said the word a lot, capacity building, it's only going to help them for future endeavours, whether that's on the sport platform or not. It's just done so much for him as a human being, not just as a talented athlete.
I didn't like being in a group setting, but I loved AFL from a very young age. So that's what helped me being the human being I am today and the mature guy I am.
I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy learning a bit more about you.
Yeah.
A lot of really powerful stuff in there for give people a little bit of hope that maybe they have their own struggles, disability or not.
Yeah, for sure.
It comes down to, I think, if you believe, you can do it.
Belief is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just pure drive and pure belief, and a hunger to want to be better.
Yep.
is something that got me to where I am today, and is going to get me further. That's a wrap.
Thank you very much, and
of course.
Thank you everyone else for watching.
Yeah. Shout out everyone that is in my corner on my team, like Kirk here, Kye, Joe, Janelle. I'll shout out my band, my family, my friends. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah.
My son is Izacc Francis, and he is unique.